I think it's actually a positive thing that the clients also want to express, or actually looking into how to create visuals with Midjourney or with AI. Because as exactly you're saying, Phil, and I completely agree, is that for a project to succeed and for the client to be happy, they need to be fully committed in the project. And if you get them involved in also digging visuals of what they like through AI or Midjourney and so on, this really involves them even more in the flow. And this is where afterwards our responsibility as architects or interior designers is to tell them, well, this is great. Thank you so much for all the input, for your insights. Now, me as the professional, I've got the creative eye, I've got the expertise, I've got the knowledge in terms when it comes to tech, or all the technical knowledge and so on. I am here to guide you what works, what doesn't work, whether it's technical, whether it's aesthetical. And this is where you almost, you are still the professional that they're calling, but on the other hand, they're involved in the process, which actually makes the whole process much smoother and faster in a certain way. So you need to educate the client and telling him, okay, this is great that you've looked into it, but I'm still here to recalibrate, what's visually appealing and what's feasible. But at least they're really involved in the whole project. So I feel that it does help to get a project out quicker and to get an approval faster.
Hey, in doing the research for the white paper, this trend of clients bringing images definitely came up. But something that I didn't hear, and hearing you talk through this makes me think, is like you're saying to the client, this is great. I'm going to take this, I'm sort of under advisement or riff with it a little bit. But there doesn't seem to be an education of the clients of how potentially to use AI as a mechanism to like continue to iterate with you throughout the design process. It's kind of like you take the collateral and then you're like done. But I'd be curious if there's a space for the continued use of AI on the part of the client, but under certain guardrails, certain guidance, certain prompts, being like, hey, like give them homework and be like, well, take this and maybe try, different colors or different layouts within this set of rules. I mean, it seems like it's something you could almost lean into.
So it really depends how tech savvy I guess the client is, because I did try that. And then they know one tool, so usually they just work with ChatGPT. Already Midjourney is too complicated for them. So ChatGPT, and once you start asking them to just reassess colors, maybe explore materials, they get lost. They get stressed. They get lost. So it from the few trials I've done and from feedback that I had from students, because that was a topic that we did discuss, they feel overly overwhelmed by being too implicated. So it's usually really at the very, very beginning of the project when they're just showing you the brief that, they've digged into ideas and what they're looking for in the style. And this is usually where, they use a bit AI, but afterwards, they get a bit too lost with all the different tools that you need to use at a later stage.
Great way to demonstrate the value of the designer.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's exactly it. So you can say this is your limits, don't go further.
So, Kate, your value or the architect's or the designer's value is to provide judgment.
Yes.
They ultimately have lots of things you can do. And here's why Kate's experience says we should go in this direction. But the other piece you're mentioning is there's this curation artifact where you don't want to overwhelm the client. You want to curate their experience so that they have influence at certain key frames in this journey.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're just overwhelmed. They don't know.
No, they get lost, and then sometimes, and this is usually how I work, when they come up with ideas, usually either the color palette or the materials just don't match, the flow of the space doesn't work. So they get excited, but they actually have no sense of taste. It's a bit hard to say, but in the end, that is also why they call us.
No. Well, no, let's untangle that. So they give you colors, they give you ideas, they show you pictures. Do you try to untangle that and understand they're showing you images that represent a final product, but what is the process? What do those underlying principles of those images represent to them? Concepts or principles that we can go, okay, now I understand why you like these materials or these things, or what are you trying to accomplish?
Exactly.
So AI doesn't have a way of doing this. Like it'd be
No,
really interesting to create client personas.
exactly. So, I mean, the client will come with all of these different elements which are completely like disconnected and there's no link to it. And this is where us as like a personal, as a professional and with our own judgment and knowledge of the industry, where we're going to be able, this AI will not be, it will help you, for example, to create like color palettes. If, for example, they come up with one color reference that they really like, and then you need to generate like a full set of colors so everything is harmonized in the space. There are AI tools that are great for that, so that you can use that as a reference. You can still use Midjourney as a help when it comes to thinking of how different materials combination can work together. But it's not going to assess the full space, because I mean, you as a designer as well need to understand: is it feasible? What is the cost? Does it fit the budget of the client? What is the timeline? Where depending on where you're based, maybe like the materials don't react the same way, depending on like the humidity of where you live and so on. So there's all of these parameters where you as an expert are here to guide them and saying, okay, well, you want that material, sure, it looks great, but it's just not going to work where you live. So we need to actually shift towards this, or it doesn't fit your budget. So, and this is where they actually see the added value of us as architects or interior designers, of saying, okay, we're clearly, I've got loads of ideas, but in the end, it's just not feasible. And I got a few clients actually who came to me and said, I tried to do it by myself. Like I thought AI would do it for me. And actually, a few months later, they come back to me saying, we tried, but it's actually not possible. Like we still need you. So that was actually really nice to hear. And I keep reiterating that to my students and saying, guys, you're not going to be replaced by AI.